Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show, where we get real about the struggles dancers face, from confidence battles to self-doubt, and how dance has the power to make us braver, stronger, and more unstoppable in every area of life. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness. And whether you're a seasoned dancer, a dance instructor, dance lover, or someone who's always wanted to dance but feels a little intimidated to start, this show is for you. Expect honest conversations, inspiring stories, and simple ways to bring more dance into your life, whether that's in the studio, on stage, or right in your living room. And if you're a dance instructor, we've got you covered with tips on how to grow your dance business, attract more students, and create a bigger impact through your passion for movement. So if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, own your movement, and dance yourself brave, let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dance Yourself Brave show. I'm Mariana Santos, founder of Brazily Fitness, and I'm so excited that I have Jessica Beaton here with me today. How are you doing, Jessica?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to hear about your story because you've done so much in the dance world. So I'm going to give a little bit of an intro to who you are. So Jessica Beaton has been in the dance world for over 20 years, beginning at a small recreational studio. Through her middle school years, she grew to love dance and became determined to make the high school dance team and eventually her college dance team, where she was able to broaden her skills across new styles of dance and experience a national competition for the first time. Her first job out of college brought her back home, where she was able to return to her old studio as an instructor. Over the last 8 years there, she's been able to help develop an award-winning middle school competition team, which she has been coaching and choreographing for since. Lots of cool stuff. So Jessica, why don't we start from the beginning? So tell us, how you got started with dance, what was that first little, push that you got into dance, and just tell us all about who you are.
So I started when I was 11, so kind of a little later in life than a lot of people in the dance world start. A lot of girls start when they're 2 or 3. So we had just moved to a new area. We came from kind of a suburb of the suburbs of Chicago. So really big town to kind of middle of nowhere in Wisconsin. It's a very small town. I think maybe population of 1,000 or 1,200, something like that. Adjustment in middle school is rough already anyway. And then, being the new kid, and I thought my world was over. Um, and I think they were flyers or something. We got something passed out at school advertising dance classes in the area. So I decided to give it a try. I asked my parents, and what was kind of unique about this studio is her second year in business, and it was a very, very small studio. So I think it was like $90 or $120, something very affordable for 12 weeks of instruction. Just kind of based on the area. A lot of people don't have, that disposable income for studios that are thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a year. So it was very affordable, and my parents said, yeah, sure, get involved, find something to do. Uh, maybe you'll stop moping about having to move and start a new school. So I started out with that, and I was terrible, horrible. I had no dance experience before. I think I went to one bring a friend class with one of my friends in elementary school, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool, but it never evolved from anything there. I could not count the music to save my life. I was just awkward and uncoordinated, but I loved it. I was like, you know what? This is it. This is what I want to do. So I just kind of kept pushing through and trying to figure out how to count music, my coordination. And I was going home and stretching every night. I was practicing every night. Our studio owner, I'm going to kind of age myself here, but she would send us home with CDs of, all of our songs and our warm up music and all that. Popping my CD, my little CD player every night. I'm pretty sure my parents' routines memorized by that time.
That's awesome.
And I would just go home and stretch and practice every night. And then I learned that there was a high school dance team. Some of the high schoolers would come and help with our classes. And I was like, this is so cool. I want to do this. So I was determined to make the high school dance team. So I kept with this studio through middle school. And there was also something for middle schoolers through the band, the majorette. At the end of 6th grade, I believe you could try out for the majorettes. And I was like, you know what? All of the majorettes make the high school dance team. I was like, in my mind, it was this pipeline. I was like, I have to do this so I can do this. So I tried out, still couldn't count the music. I didn't make it. I was devastated. It was, the end of my 12-year-old world.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going. Like, it's not gonna be the end of the world. I'll figure it out. Just keep trying. I didn't end up trying out again because I was still a little too scared of the rejection.
Mhm.
But like I said, I kept with those classes through middle school. And then by the time in 8th grade, when high school trials rolled around, I tried out for the high school team, kind of lined up at the time that our boys basketball team was going to state. So when we were supposed to have the tryouts, they canceled school because everybody was going anyway. So I stayed home all day and just ran that tryout routine like the 16 8 counts over and over again. I'm like, I am making this team. And I did make it. And it was the best thing ever.
Wow.
It's my freshman year. And it was rough. Your freshman year on the dance team is just, it's tough.
Mhm.
And I was very close to being cut from one of our competition teams. I think the week before our first competition, our coach was like, "You might not compete with us. You got to improve. Have to count the music." you know.
Mhm.
So that kind of lit a little bit more of a fire under me, and I was like, I don't want to be the only one not on the competition team. So through the rest of my high school dance career, I was like, I want to be good. So every night, stretching and running the music. And at some point in high school, we got a trampoline. So when the weather was warm enough, I was out on the trampoline practicing my jobs, like making my little brother take videos and take pictures and kind of see the progression. And by my senior year, I was so much more confident in myself, in my dancing. Um, and then I was looking for colleges, and I was like, you know what? I'd really like to dance beyond high school. So I kind of centered my search for colleges around that, dance teams that are within my skill level, not aiming too high where I know like this is a program that I can't handle.
Mhm.
So I chose my college and I tried out for their dance team. Freshman year, I made it. Lovely. Then my sophomore year rolls around, I try out again, and I don't make it. Again,
Mhm.
devastated. End of the world. And it was kind of at that point that I realized how important dance was because I just felt, I still had school, I had my jobs and everything. I had a lot going on, but I just felt like I was missing something. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, common denominator here is dance. Like, this is really important. So then I decided to take a minor in dance. 'Cause my university didn't offer majors. So I took a minor in dance, and through that, I was able to maintain dance in my life, take dance classes, and then I did try out again, made it back onto the team again, and finish out college on the dance team. So after that, graduation again is rolling around, and I'm thinking, now what? You
Mhm.
know, I was on the high school dance team, I was on the college dance team. What happens after this? So I had a job offer before graduation. It ended up putting me back in my hometown, and I spent a year back home. And then my old studio owner reached out to me through my time in the studio and in high school. She kind of became a really good friend, and she was a family friend anyway. Um, and she got word that I was back in the area, so she reached out to me initially to help with a camp. She's wanting to do a camp for the middle school level, maybe get together a competition team. So I started helping with this camp, and then suddenly I was teaching that class that year, and suddenly I was coaching a competition team. And that first year for competition for us, it did not go well. I mean, we showed up, the girls did look pretty good. We didn't take anything home, though. But, it was a learning experience, and through that, since then, it's been 8 years now, we've had competition teams every year at the 6th through 8th grade level, and we've built stellar competition teams. I mean, these girls are again, this is a rural area, so we provide classes that these parents can afford, just because, yeah, a lot can't afford that higher level instruction. So with that, we don't have, a lot of specialized instruction,
Mhm.
but just with what we've been able to bring the studio owner, me being able to come back and some of our girls that graduate out of the high school go on to dance in or graduate out of the studio and go to dance into high school, we've been able to bring them up to a level where they can go and compete with larger schools where these girls come from top level studios from the age of 2. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm still teaching and coaching them, and it's been like really, really rewarding to see something come from this small studio. And when I started, it was very simple. We didn't have costumes. I think we all had t-shirts with the studio logo on them. It was very basic movements. Now, like I said, these girls are competing at a pretty high skill level and coming home currently placing first and second in competition. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
That is so awesome. Like, I love hearing, like, especially how you said that, you started at 11, right? So a little bit older, like you said, right? Like, I've interviewed some what's been great about doing these interviews is, like, I've heard from people like you who've started a little bit later, some who have danced since they were 3, and, people who didn't start till they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, right? And it doesn't matter. Any age you're at is the perfect time to start. And I love how you said that you didn't have, like, the natural musicality, and you had to really work through that, and you'd go home and you practice. And I think that that is so important to share because I think a lot of people believe that dancers are just like born with this talent, and a lot of them are, right? Like, but even when you are born with talent, you have to work towards things, right? And like, I love how your story, like, you fell down so many times that each time you got back up stronger and you kept going. And that's, made you the dancer and the teacher that you are today, I'm sure. And how would you say, like, going through all those struggles of, learning to, like, deal with disappointment and learn, like, improve your technique, musicality, how has this shaped you as a person and how does that affect your life today?
So it definitely taught me how to take rejection. The first few times is like, my life is over. What am I going to do? Dramatic teenage girl things. But it has definitely helped me be more comfortable with rejection and understanding that it's not the end of everything. It's definitely taught me how to, kind of like you said, fall down and get back up, and how to reroute, like when I didn't make it back onto my college dance team, it kind of made me think, how can I keep this thing that's so important to me in my life? And it's also helped me build a lot of confidence. So listen to your episode yesterday. You said, you're very I am painfully shy.
I can relate.
I am painfully, painfully shy. But whenever I would perform and, in my coaching and teaching role, I feel so in my element that I'm not, thinking, what does anybody think of me? Or no, I'm not shy. Just I feel so confident. That's where I'm meant to be. And it's almost like kind of a character that I step into. This
Yep.
is confident Jessica. She's not shy. She's so sure of herself.
Hmm.
So it's kind of built this persona for me where I'm not shy. I can put myself out there. And it's also given me like a lot of amazing friends. Like I mentioned, the studio owner, when I first started out, she has become a very, very close friend of mine, almost like a second mother to me. Both of my kids, she was one of the first people that I told. Um, yeah, she has just become such an important person in my life, and a lot of the girls that I dance with have become great friends. One of my closest friends, I think we met in like 8th grade. We became close right around the time dancing tryouts were, and we were pretty much best friends through high school, and we're still very, very close friends now. And I don't know if we would have become that close friends, if dance hadn't brought us together. So it really has just in so many ways been such a central part of my life.
Yeah, I love all of that, especially, the confidence and, being a shy person and then like finding yourself on the dance stage. Like, I mean, because you listened to my introduction episode, and that's exactly what I had to do, right? Like, come up with like a stage Mariana, right? When I started teaching. And, slowly, I don't know about you, but like slowly that's kind of gone into my like real Mariana. Like, I mean, I know I wouldn't have had the guts to start a podcast and like presented conventions and things like that if I hadn't built that like persona side of me, right? Because
Yeah,
speaking used to terrify me. So now, like, it's a little bit easier. There are still like scary moments, right? But I think I'm able to deal with it more. And I'm sure that, the fact that you're teaching and stuff, right? Like, that has helped you to kind of break out of your shell more and more, right?
definitely.
Yeah, and they say that, like, the more you teach, like, the more you learn, right? So it's so great
Mhm.
to go through that experience, and the social aspect, right? I think that's something that people forget. It's like, it's such a great way to make friends. And you meet people who are, they have the same kind of mindset. They're all working towards something. They're not, in that like competition, like everyone wants, like someone who wants to be better than you, right? If they're like that, odds are they're just gonna like kind of move away from your life pretty quickly, right? And you just meet people that it's so important, right? Because I think life is so busy, so go, go, go. And if we don't have the right people around us, it can feel heavy, right? So I love that. And what is something that you wish that your students knew about you, or maybe something that they'd be surprised to know about you?
Um, well, sometimes I wish they would know just how much heart and soul I pour into my choreography. Especially if I'm teaching something a little off the wall, a little different, and teenage girls, they have their opinions. Sometimes, just, oh, I don't like that. I can't do that. So, I wish they knew that a little personally.
Yeah.
But more so than that, I wish they knew why I push them so hard, because I do push them pretty hard. Sometimes they're like, "Oh, you're being so hard on us, and why are you critiquing us so much?" It's because all of those girls that come through my class and that I take to compete, I see a younger version of me. All of those girls I see as young girls, finding their way, finding a passion, and that are getting a chance. Just like I was a girl that my studio owner gave a chance to, and it's become this life for me. Each of those girls I see, I can just give this girl a chance to build her confidence, find something she loves, who knows where her life is gonna be. So I wish they knew that instead of like, oh, Jess is just so mean today.
It's because I think that you see their potential, right? And I think that we have a hard time seeing that in ourselves, right? And sometimes that extra push, that tough love is what's needed, right, to get us closer to that next version of ourselves, right? So, yeah, they need you in their lives for sure, but sometimes I know there might be a little bit of resentment along the way, I feel like my daughter sometimes she's only 4, but I feel like as she becomes a teenager, I'm like already saying like, I'm not gonna let her have a cell phone and I'm not gonna let her do this. And like, like she's gonna hate me, but like I hope that one day she's gonna realize that what I'm doing is for her own good, right? For her own
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
And, it's our job, right, as parents, as teachers to think about, the person that they're going to become throughout the process, right, and keep them safe, right? So, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough role. Like teachers, like it's not an easy job at all, right?
No, no, challenging.
Is there like a success story of a student, maybe something that happened recently or something that kind of like you always remember, like a student told you about and that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, so it was kind of hard to narrow it down for this just because in general, I love seeing these girls. So we do K through 8th grade, and I only have these girls for the very end of it. A couple of years ago, I asked my studio owner, "Can I please just have the older girls?" Like
Okay.
a lot of 9-year-olds at once is a lot. So I only have them for a short time, so I'm not, building them all the way. But in that short time, I see them blossom so much, grow in their talent, become confident in themselves, from sixth graders coming onto the team that are standing in the back and they're so scared and they're like, don't look at me, to in eighth grade at the end of the year, they become beautiful leaders of their and a lot of them will come back and help teach some of the younger classes, and then it's such a joy to see them with their classes and the amazing leaders they are. Just in general, pretty much every girl that comes through. The one that stands out are two girls that I've had. They are sisters, and they're 2 or 3 years apart. Um, and I had them both sixth through eighth grade, and they're both very naturally talented, beautiful dancers, stellar musicality. I don't know how they did it. That didn't come to me. And they create beautiful choreography. And both of them were so very hardworking when I had them. And they're the sweetest girls. And the younger of the sisters, she actually teaches and coaches with me now. And they are working together to kind of form their own dance studio now, along with their mom, who is one of our studio moms. And she's a blessing in herself. And so they're forming their own dance collective now and beginning to offer private lessons and take girls to a competition and solos and duets, and just seeing how they have grown again from kind of shy middle schoolers into watching them through high school, both being amazing leaders of their dance teams, and watching the younger sister who was coached alongside me lead our girls, and me being able to step back because she knows what she's doing. She's an amazing leader. And then just seeing them kind of also following their dream and developing this and taking the next step. It's just been very rewarding to see them through that journey.
That is beautiful, and I love how you said that they're becoming leaders, right? And we need more female leaders in the world, right? So even if, let's say, they don't want to teach dance, right? These are skills that they're gonna bring into any career they choose, right? That's why I'm such a, like, strong proponent, like, to get people dancing because, the skills that you acquire through dance can help you no matter what your dream is, no matter what your goal is, right? Like, you talked about, that perseverance, that grit that you built through dance, right? Even if you decided not to teach dance today, that would serve you in some way, right? So I love that. And what would you say is the kind of impact that you're looking to make in the world right now?
So right now, honestly, just doing what I'm doing, kind of giving back to this studio. It probably sounds so exaggerated, but that I feel like I owe my life to, um, because it really did set me on my life path and help me find my people. So yeah, I just hope to keep giving back. Like I said, giving more girls a chance, especially like I said in our area, opening these girls up to a world that otherwise, their parents, I know my parents didn't have the money to put me through these big studios. Just giving those same opportunities that I had, as a young girl that kinda shaped life for me.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, I know that I was one of those kids that my parents couldn't afford to put us in dance classes, right? So I started dancing much later and it was more like down the dance fitness route, right? And I wish that I had, an opportunity like the one that you're offering these girls. So it's wonderful. And what advice would you give to someone who's maybe now a little bit curious about starting to dance, but they're still like feeling a little bit hesitant? So they're listening to this episode and they're not a kid anymore, right? So they feel like maybe it's too late for them to try. What would you tell them?
Just try it. You don't know how much you're gonna love it, and, it might not be your thing. That's fine. I've tried a lot of things that I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." It wasn't for me, and I didn't really lose anything by it. So even if you're into adulthood, middle age, in your senior years, there are so many classes at all of those levels. It just give it a try. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Everybody starts somewhere, even if they started when they were 2. If, we started when we're 11, everybody is a beginner somewhere. It's never too late to be a beginner in something. You don't know how much you're gonna love something. You're not gonna find your people if you don't Just try it. You have nothing to lose.
What's the worst that can happen, right? You don't like it, and then you, like, start tennis or something instead, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
always something else that you can try, but you owe it to yourself, right, to take that first step and that chance on yourself, right? So thank you so much for sharing all of that, and I'd love for you now to kind of share everything about, your website, your social media accounts. Like, how can people reach out to you and just be around you and maybe put their kids in your classes or anything else?
So, um, our registration right now for classes is closed, but starting this year, I am also opening up choreography for middle school and high school competitive teams. So any in the Wisconsin area or even Minnesota that are looking for a choreographer, I'm your girl. And you can find me on Facebook. My page is Choreography by Jess. And Instagram, it's choreo underscore by Jess. By Jess is one word. Um, Post on there, I'll post little snippets of what I've done, and I'll be sharing some of my openings on there. If you just want to follow along and be friends, that's where I am.
Let's all be friends, right? We all need more friends in our lives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll make sure to put everything in the show notes so it's easy for people to click and get in touch with you and just follow along to see all the amazing stuff you're doing. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Hopefully, we can have you back for a part two. And I really appreciate hearing your story and just I love, what you're doing and how, you overcame so much and now you're this fabulous teacher that inspires so many people. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, if this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help us spread the dance love across the globe, the best way you can do that is by leaving a review because that's how we expand our reach and we start to help and inspire more people. So help us out with that. And thank you so much. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Yourself Brave show. If today's episode got you hyped, inspired, or just made you want to bust a move, do me a favor. Subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear today's message. Sharing is caring after all. And hey, don't forget, your courage is already in you. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out to feel it. Catch you next time. Keep shining and keep dancing yourself brave.